brother and sister.
Sweetie, sweetie. All right, guys, let's focus on another discussion, just a short one for the day before we can rest. Of course, we've been checking into the by-election tallying process going on, Baringo, Mbeere, among other places. And of course, according to the statistics, a very low turnout was witnessed in most of the polling stations. I don't know, for whatever reason. Is it because there was no special holiday? Is it as a result of voter disillusionment? Or was it because of the chaos that was seen across the country? So it's unfortunate that most people didn't turn out to vote. Only maybe 40% were turning up to vote. And claims of violence, not just even claims, the reality about violence, the possible vote stuffing and bribery was actually witnessed in many places. Now, we can clearly see that in places such as Mbeere North, we could see Mbeere and Ruku trying to intervene the vote process, and J.B. Muturi was seen clashing with some of the people who were coming there dressed as if they belonged to his party. We could also see Alfred Mutua sent away from a polling station, and Osoro was also chased away from Nyamira. We witnessed another chaotic incident in KASIPUL, and a more dangerous situation in MALAVA. But it's so unfortunate actually for some of the candidates to be, weak kind of, especially Seth Panyago was actually seen at the least expected moment, because politics, they say, is a dirty game. Katambe, katambe, kaumane, kaumane. So you have to be ready for anything. If you go for it, it's not a seat in a priesthood or anything to do with church. You are going into a political field, and therefore you need to be strong. So it was unfortunate, actually, as I watched that video, when Seth Panyago was crying in front of the audience. Remember, he had already been attacked and he had come out very safe. So he goes to write a statement, and while they are telling him to do so, he begins to throw his hands up and say that let the Nandi speak it, or wachukue. How can you give up such a thing when all people are looking at you? You, as the candidate, you are supposed to be strong enough to make sure that even those who are following you, they are also strong. Because remember, whatever tactics they were using in these places, MALAVA, Kabuchai, Mbeere, Magharini, they're almost similar processes. Even Narok, they were meant to frustrate and depress the audience. But when we look at the current situation, unfortunately, it's not always that whatever is planned goes for it. So we have seen finally from the news, or whatever is happening across the country, that DCP has won for Khisa East, Kariobangi North, and Narok Town, and ODM has won for KASIPUL, giving it to Boyd. But that is a good progress, and as we continue waiting for Mbeere, MALAVA, and many other places, at least there is a reason to smile for different places in the country. And of course, we are waiting, and I know some people will not even sleep as early. They will wait until they just get the statistics about MALAVA, Mbeere North, and Magharini, because they are most awaited. But meanwhile, let's look at the celebration that happened in KASIPUL, Khisa East. We are not able to see Narok, but of course, the win went to DCP. At the same time, Nyamira, they rejected the members of ODM or any other party and gave it to their own Matiang'i. So let's check on this and see what's happening across as we wait for the latest results. Malala anacheka tu kama mwenye amelewa.
Hapa ni wapi? Khisa is. Khisa is. Analeta daktari wabaya ile.
So, of course, Kariobangi North and Narok Town, Khisa East on to DCP, while ODM has carried the day in KASIPUL. So, MALAVA, Mbeere North and Magharini are still waiting with a lot of expectations. While others say it's Wamudende winning, others are saying it is Karis winning. On the other side, while others saying Panyago is winning, I don't know their expectation. So the celebrations, of course, really happened so much in Khisa East. I don't know why, even though it was not such a center of interest. And KASIPUL, of course, already people knew that it would have been Boyd or the other guy who were fined recently.
I learned that ChatGPT works best with detailed prompts, but I hate typing them. So instead, I dictate them using WhisperFlow while
Peter Owero says Karish tosha mtoto wetu. Any update ya KASIPUL? KASIPUL, of course, it's ODM, right? And then somebody says Karisa Kombele Sai, MALAVA. do the DCP, I do the DCP, I do the DCP. Hey. Ima Bushuru, welcome in the house. Malava, people are saying there is all signs Karis ahead of Wamudende by 2,000 votes. And then Malava, one term. Malava, what are they saying here? Malava has issues, head issues. Is it solved? Panyako claims imeibiwa. Ni noma si noma. So let's check whether you can see something from Kariobangi North. Kariobangi North. Kariobangi North DCP candidate wins. Of course, we want to see the announcement. No celebrations. Suresh, hello, welcome. Madare Melan from your neighbor. UDA finished fourth. Yeah, Suresh. Jukwaa la siasa Mathare. Let's check on Magharini. Magharini, asante Magharini, oh dear, what is this? This one is for the resilient people of Magharini, a community whose faith is our movement has never wavered. Your hopes, your courage, and your belief is a better tomorrow. Continue inspiring us. And after all, this is our honor of our founding leader, Raila Odinga, whose life work lit the path we proudly walk today. His legacy lives in every victory of the people, every promise kept, and every step we take toward justice and dignity for all under the leadership of our new leader, Dr. Oburu Odinga. Magharini, this one is yours. Let's keep moving forward together. What does this mean? Does it mean that this guy won or what in Magharini? Or what does this mean? I can't get congratulations. Let's see this. Facebook is tricky. Let's go back and check elsewhere. Alright, so we continue to wait on Mbeere, Malava, and Magharini. But I don't know why people are suggesting Magharini is won by ODM, but they are still saying that Mbeere Karis is leading from that figure. And of course, Malava, they are still saying Panyako is leading, but we have to wait up to the end because votes are not vegetables. People are not sleeping, they're waiting. Waiting.
Stop taking meeting
Now, it's
notes, and when I
unfortunate
click
that the
OK on
young
Note
people
Taker,
never
it was
turned up to vote. I don't know. When Gen Zs say they are the voices, they are the voiceless, they are the leaderless, but at the same time they becomes voteless, it becomes a problem to a country actually, because if they really want us to
It
have the
allows you to
change,
focus on your meetings,
we
not
should
your
have
planning
more young
process has kicked
people.
off. In Mbeere, North 60. Total number of rejected ballot papers 001. Total number of rejection objected to ballot papers 000. The total number of disputed votes 000, and the total number of valid votes cast 044. And so, Sam, that is the first update here that we have received from the polling station, and the returning officer is has just announced the first update, the result here. And of course, we will be getting some more in a few minutes. Back to you, studio.
tunatarajia matokeo iwe imetoka kama saa moja saa mbili hivi, kwa sababu in station.
A political upset no one saw coming. Hours after Governor George Natembeya was attacked during heated campaign trail, his preferred candidate Eric Wekesa has just defeated Moses Wetangula's hand-picked Ford Kenya nominee in Kabuchai.
Ambia Wetangula kwamba Natembeya amepigana na majangili Rift Valley. Amepigana na majangili Isiolo. Amepigana na watu ambao wanabeba bomu. Asiniletee watoto kuja kunipiga mimi na mipini. Mwambie yeye blood factor. Mwambie yeye kumbavu. Sema Wetangula kumbavu. Mwambie yeye shazi. Mwambie awache ujinga. Awache ujinga.
Usakala Primary, behind him stood a full state back lineup. The message was simple. Ford Kenya must not lose in Kabuchai. Wetangula packaged the election as a loyalty test, unity, discipline, integrity and service. He wanted a clean endorsement from his own backyard. But the surprise came from the counter-attack. Yet, despite all that, the movement held and the rebellion grew louder. Every political observer began reading this election as a referendum, not on development, not on policy, but on Wetangula's dominance. Kabuchai is his childhood ground, his traditional bastion. Losing here will be more than a defeat. It will be a statement.
Come to my station, Namahele, in Chwele Kabuchai Ward to exercise my civic duty of voting, which I have done. As you are aware, these by-elections are going on across the country from Magharini at the coast all the way to Nyanza, to here, to northeastern. And I just want to encourage Kenyans in those electoral areas to turn up and exercise their duty.
In Western Kenya, even after being attacked during the campaigns, his camp triumphed. It pains him as a resilient, growing force against the old political guard. And third, Ford Kenya's internal rebellion is no longer a whisper. Kalasinga is openly defiant. Wangamati is back in the arena. Younger voters are rejecting traditional political commands. If this momentum continues, the 2027 landscape in Western Kenya could look completely different. Kabuchai was never about just one MCS seat. It was a pulse check for the region. And tonight, the pulse says the ground is moving. Eric Wekesa's victory has drawn a clear line. Wetangula's once unquestionable dominance no longer holds. Natembeya and his allies have broken the ceiling, and they did it after facing violence, intimidation, and political pressure. Kabuchai has spoken, and the message is unmistakable. Bungoma's politics is changing. Newsroom, Maisha TV, Reader.
So actually you can see that Wekesa won in Kabuchai, a candidate who was being supported by Natembeya, and regardless of the suppression they did to Natembeya today, arresting him and causing a lot of violence before the elections, he carried the day in Kabuchai, because I was really waiting for Kabuchai, and finally we've seen Wekesa, who was not from Ford Kenya, but another party did it. Of course, you've seen KASIPUL, it's ODM. You've seen already at Narok and Kariobangi and Khisa East, it is DCP. So we are still waiting for MALAVA, Mbeere and Magharini, but we hope for the best anyway. May the best candidate win, all right? Yeah, so
tallying process has kicked off.
kinyang'anyiro kikali hapo. Tumeshuhudia baadhi ya
shwari kabisa. Lakini pia ni vizuri tukajua haswa kama mtafaruku wa huko nje umeweza kuathiri vile shughuli nzima imeweza kufanyika hapa. Kwa sasa tunaweza kushirikiana naye ama kuzungumza naye mmoja wa wale wakaguzi ama observers wa Law Society of Kenya ambaye atatueleza majina yake na haswa kazi yake hususan imekuwa gani, na je, uchaguzi wa hapa kituo hiki cha Chicago Social Hall umekuwa wa wazi huru?
Kwa majina naitwa Teresa Ngoge. Nimekuja hapa kufanya observation from Law Society of Kenya. Kulingana na venye hii kura imefanyika leo, tunaweza sema imekuwa wazi kwa sababu tumekuwa tukiobserve wenye wapiga kura wote walivyokuja hapa. Tukaangalia wakienda hapo kwa booth wakapiga kura. Vile masaa ya saa 11 jioni ilipofika wakafunga gate. Walipofunga gate, sisi agents wote na observers tukaitwa hapa, wakatoa zile cells kwa ballot box. Walipotoa hizo cells kwa ballot box, waka divide kati ya wenye walikuwa wanataka kura. So wakani wa Muthenda kura zake zote zikaekwa pamoja, kama ni Karis kura zake zote zikaekwa pamoja, alafu zikahesabiwa na tukakuwa sawa na hizo mahesabu.
Na kulikuwa na mtafaruku hapo nje, na je, iliathiri kwa sababu umesema lango lilifungwa, iliathiri ama lango lenyewe lilifungwa kuhakikisha kwamba kila mtu ambaye alikuwa anataka kupiga kura alipata hiyo nafasi?
Kila mtu aliyetaka kupiga kura alipata nafasi kwa sababu wapiga kura wote walikuwa wameambiwa kupiga kura itaisha saa 11. So vile saa 11 lilifika, milango zilifungwa, ile mtafaruku yenye ilikuwa nje, polisi waliweza kucontain na tukaweza kuhesabu kura bila shida lolote, na tuko satisfied na results zenye zimetokea.
Kila mtu na pia majenti, kila mtu ameridhika kwa yale ambayo umeweza kutenda leo?
Kila mtu ameridhika, ma agents, observers, sisi wote tuko sawa.
Haya, tuelezee kutoka hapa shughuli nzima inaelekea wapi na nini haswa kitakuwa kinafanywa, kwa sababu kwa sasa tumeona ni shughuli za mwisho na kutia sahihi katika fomu zile za IEBC. Kutokea hapa tuelekea wapi na nini kitakachofanyika?
Kutoka hapa tunaenda Chicago Girls, ambapo kila polling station ilikuwa na form yenye inajazwa inaitwa form 35A. So 35A ndio iko na mahesabu ya kura zote zenye zilizopigwa na kila candidate alipata kura ngapi, alafu zote zitakuwa consolidated, alafu the final announcement itafanyika kule Chicago Girls.
Na umesema vizuri kwanza kwamba matangazo ya mwisho yataweza kufanyika kule Chicago Girls. Ukiangalia kwa tathmini yako, je, labda kwa saa 6 hivi tutakuwa tunajua mbunge mpya wa Mbeere Kaskazini?
Naam, tunatarajia by saa 6 usiku tutakuwa tunajua mbunge ndio nani.
Kwa sababu umekaa hapa tangu tuanze uchaguzi hapa asubuhi, na umeona idadi ya watu ambao wameweza kujitokeza imekuwa si ya kuridhisha vile. Ungeweza kusema nini kuhusu voter turnout haswa ya hapa Chicago?
Voter turnout tunaweza sema ilikuwa about 60%. Hopefully tunataka watu katika the next election, ile general election, watu wajitokeze kwa wingi kwa sababu hii ni haki yetu na sisi ndo tunafaa kuchagua viongozi wetu. Tukikaa nyumbani basi hatuwezi achia watu wengine watuchagulie.
Naam, shukrani sana.
Asante.
Naam, Gladys, umesikia kwamba hata Law Society of Kenya imeridhika na uchaguzi ambao umefanywa na pia na vile kura yenyewe haswa kuweka kwa debe na pia kuhesabu kura hizo. Na kutokea hapa tunaelekea katika Tallying Center ya Mbeere North ambayo ni shule ya St. Bakita Chicago Girls, na tuombe kwamba tutaweza kukamilisha shughuli hii yote na tuweze kujua kabla ya saa 6 ama tumeweza kupata mbunge mpya.
Social handle page to share out a fake news.
Kanyambura, that's where there was some chaos. So ODM has one Magharini, really? That's what they are saying here. So Magharini ni ODM zone.
As chaotic scenes overshadowed Thursday's by-elections in Nyamira and Machakos counties, fueled by allegations of voter bribery. In Nyamira, vehicles suspected to be in Nyamaya, rival supporters clashing and leaving behind a trail of destruction. Several people were left nursing serious injuries. And although the perpetrators of the violence are yet to be identified, National Assembly Majority Whip Silvana Sosoro has been accused of playing a role in facilitating the unrest.
Panga and arungu. Ndio nilipiwa hivi nikaunga nani kwa fence. So kitu ilinisaidia niwe kichwa wapi kwa fence. Sasa hivi kwa fence wakanipiga nini? Panga huko. Sasa kuenda pale nikapigwa tege. Nikaanguka chini. Nikiamuka nikapata panga ndio hii. Wanipika panga ikaingia pande hii ikakuja pande hii hapa ndio inanisika sasa hii niko na wiki 4.
How can the Inspector General of Police allow an honorable member of parliament to move around in a place where we are undertaking peaceful elections, move around with guns, armed with arrows, with pangas, with crude weapons to cause chaos?
Allegations the legislator has vehemently denied.
Sijakuwa anywhere else mahali panaitwa Tindereta. I'm hearing for the first time and naangalia zingine social media. Maybe there is somebody who is using my shadow, nitajua ni nani, lakini that is not me. Okay. Na sijajua kama kulikuwa na watu hapo, sijajua kama kumekuwa na vurugu.
The situation was no different in Mumboni Northward in Machakos County, where a former MCA was roughed up after allegedly appearing at the Mungala polling station with intent to bribe voters. Paul Museku was forced to flee for his safety before security officers intervened. In the same ward, Labour Cabinet Secretary Alfred Mutua was ejected from the Kasinga polling station shortly after his Maendeleo Chap-Chap candidate cast his vote.
Kuna watu kadhaa wamejaribu kupeana pesa leo asubuhi. Kuna hata waheshimiwa wengine wanaofanya kazi kwa serikali ya Wiper hapa ya Governor Wavina Ndeti, na hao wananchi wameweza kuwakamata kwa sababu wananchi wamechoka.
So far hatujapata mtu akibribe wananchi, but kama kutakuwa naye, we need solid evidence, we need people to come out. Lakini candidates pointing fingers at each other without proper evidence, hii yote ni rumors.
The chaos unfolded even as low voter turnout was recorded across all 17 ward by-elections held nationwide, including in Nandi, Turkana and Samburu counties.
That was Jeff Kirui giving us an update in Malava. But tonight, mini polls. In Malava constituency, Kakamega County, chaos erupted on the eve of the by-election, once again bringing to sharp focus cases of insecurity and politically instigated violence that often mar the country's election process. The Democratic Action Party candidate Seth Panyako found himself in the thick of things after his hotel was attacked by goons during a meeting he held with his supporters on Wednesday night. Panyako is accusing one of his opponents of organizing goons to attack his hotel and his supporters. During the night attack, property, including high-end vehicles, were destroyed.
They went through the roof, broke through the rooms, through the ceiling, entered the rooms, and I'm very happy that those who are within the rooms managed to hide under the beds. So they're not injured. Those who are found within the hall and those who are outside were severely injured.
Among those injured in the attack was Panyako's driver, who was rushed to Webuye Sub-County Hospital in Bungoma. He was later transferred to a private hospital in Kisumu for specialized care. One of the alleged goons who had rained terror at the hotel also sustained injuries after being captured and beaten by angry Panyako's supporters.
Your main objection ilikuwa gani? Ulikuwa unakuja kufanya nini?
The political aspirant who hopes to fill the vacant Malava parliamentary seat also alleges that distress calls to the security agencies in the area were ignored.
1.5 hours after I gave a distress call, there was no police. Matete police station said they had no vehicle.
Our democracy is facing its darkest hour of peril. We did realize yesterday that we had quite a number of ballots that are unaccounted for because the serialization of the over 800,000 ballots printed in Greece was tampered with. They did not allow us as participants in this electoral process to inspect and to verify this ballot.
Leaders have weighed in on the poll violence. Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna, through his Facebook account, wrote, and I quote, "Today has been one of the bloodiest election days in recent history. All the violence being witnessed across the country, from Kabuchai to Malava to KASIPUL, point either to incompetence in the security command or their outright involvement in planning and executing it. CS Murkomen and his team must take responsibility for failing to secure the safety of all involved." End quote. Panyako is said to have later stormed the Malava police station to record a statement regarding an attack that left one of his vehicles riddled with bullets. All eyes are now on the announcement.
Oh my God, that was the funniest moment in the time, actually, with a lot of breaches in the election process, and very funny, of course. So we've been, Magharini ODM has carried the day, Kariobangi North DCP, Narok DCP, Kisii East DCP, and KASIPUL ODM. So we are still waiting for Malava, Mbeere North, Magharini. So the people from Mbeere North are still saying Karish is leading, and Malava, let's see Malava, what is happening there. No update.
My work is easy because I use ClickUp. Here's how AI saves me hours every day. It automatically prioritizes my...
Asante sana Shababa David Modoka akiwa katika 86. Kwa hivyo hapa katika vituo viwili kati ya vinne vilivyo katika shule hii ya msingi mambo yalikuwa hivyo. Cha haraka tu ni kumaanisha kwamba
Kabuchai also it has been
mapema zaidi,
natembea
japo kile
scam.
ambacho kitachelewesha ni muda ambao maafisa wa kusimamia shughuli wataweza kuleta matokeo moja kwa moja. Kwa hivyo hapa tumeshamaliza katika soko la Malava na vile vile katika shule hii ya msingi ya Malava. Tutaweza sasa vile tutaweza kupenya pale kutoka hapa shule ya msingi ya Malava, studio kwa Kolofti.
Kenya with the elections, yeah. Seek is a ground. Wetangula has lost in his own Kabuchai regardless of all this. So Natembeya, of course, should be set free. ODM won in 2 places, so KASIPUL and Magharini. I thought KASIPUL has a lot of people than these other places, MALAVA and Mbeere. Boyd. Waiting for too long, waiting for Godot. We need to sleep. Nothing is forthcoming. It's already 10:22.
Did you know Israel has never fully defined it? Asante sana kwa kuendelea kuwa nasi kwenye
ni kana kwamba kila msimamizi wa uchaguzi analeta matokeo yake, kisha anaidhinishwa, anapeleka matokeo hayo moja kwa moja hadi mle mbele walikokaa wale wasimamizi wa eneo bunge nzima. Kwa hivyo unaoona hapa ni wale presiding officers kutoka vituo mbalimbali, na wanawasilisha matokeo kutoka kwa vituo vya kupigia kura ikiwemo eneo bunge la Mogotio ambayo imepakana na kaunti ya Nakuru, pamoja na eneo bunge la Eldama Ravine ambayo imepakana na kaunti ya Uasin Gishu, pamoja na eneo bunge la Baringo Kaskazini, ambapo tulikuwa mapema hii leo kule Kabartonjo, ambapo tuliona ni akina mama wakongwe, wazee walikuwa wakijitokeza kwa wingi kupiga kura katika maeneo hayo. Vijana hii leo wakionekana kuzembea kabisa katika shughuli hii zima na kukwepa zoezi hili zima la uchaguzi mdogo na kususia kupiga kura, ikizua masuala mengi kuhusu mustakabali wa vijana katika kushiriki katika masuala ya uchaguzi mdogo na uchaguzi mkuu utakaofanyika mwaka wa 2027. Kwa hivyo tunazidi kupokea tu matokeo kutoka baadhi ya vituo mbalimbali kutoka Kenya School of Government kule KSG hapa Kabarnet, na ni hapo ndipo mbivu na mbichi itajulikana nani ndiye simba wa kaunti ya Baringo na ni nani atakaye kuwa seneta wa kaunti hii ya Baringo ambaye atachukua usukani kutoka kwa mwenda zake aliyekuwa seneta wa kaunti hii hayati William Cheptumo ambaye alifariki mwezi Februari mwaka huu. Kwa hivyo ni kutizama tu kuona ni yepi, lakini kuanzia sasa hadi kila hesabu kutoka kila kituo, kutoka kila eneo bunge, na hatimaye hesabu ya mwisho itakapofanyika. Nimrod.
Bwana ndio msimamizi wa hoteli hii ya Downhill, na ataweza tu kutueleza jina lako na pengine utueleze hali ilikuwa vipi na ilikuwa majira ya saa ngapi usiku.
Kwa majina yangu naitwa John Nyamira. Mimi ndio general supervisor wa hii hoteli ya Downhill Springs Resort. Wakati saa 7 saa 8 usiku tulikuwa na tension kidogo, wakati tulipata habari kwamba kuna magari ziko hapa nje zenye hazijulikani. Hizo magari ziko na wakina nani, zilikuwa zimepakiwa pale kwa barabara main road. Alafu hiyo magari watu hawajashuka ndani, watu wako ndani. Sasa sisi wakati tulipata hiyo habari, na wale wa majirani zetu wenye wako pale nje na maduka hawaelewi hiyo magari kama ni yetu au ni akina nani. Sisi tukasema sisi hafahamu kama kuna magari yote inafaa ikuwe nje ya gate, na ambapo ni magari yetu ya hapa ndani. Magari zetu zote ziko hapa ndani, ziko ndani ya compound. Sasa wakati ilifika saa 7 saa 8 tukasikia kwanza wakakuja wakatishia, kwanza wakatingisha gate, alafu wakawacha. Tukakuwa na hiyo tension kidogo, tukakimbia huko ndani kidogo, alafu tukasikia sasa hiyo gate ikagongwa na nguvu. Haya kidogo sasa ndio hao watu wakaingia. Sasa wakati waliingia, sasa wakataka waingie ndani ya restaurant, wakapata mlango ya mbele imefungwa, na wakaanza kupiga watchman wetu wa gate hapa, wakaanza kupiga wengine wakaanza kupiga magari. Sasa sisi wakati tulikuwa huko ndani tulikuwa tunasikia ile mlipuko, yani ile gari ikipigwa screen unasikia ile mlipuko yenye unajua hii ni gari inapigwa. Wakaanza kupiga gari na wanaongea, wanasema wako wapi? Tunasikilia tu wanasema wako wapi, twende hivi, wewe kuja hivi, pita hivi. Tunasikia tu tukiwa huko ndani. Alafu wanapiga madirisha, wakateremka mpaka chini. Sasa sisi wakati tulikimbia tukajificha kule chini, wakakuja mpaka mahali penye sisi tulikuwa tumejificha, wakapita wakamulika torch, wakajaribu kuangalia, wakasema kuna watu wako hapa, wanaongea wenyewe kwa wenyewe. Sina tumenyamaza. Alafu sasa wakapiga, wakapata jamaa mmoja yule security wetu wenye walikuwa sawa tumewaweka pale kwa fence pale, kuchunga fence pale. Wakapigwa pale karibu na kitchen hapo, wakapigwa mpaka mmoja akalia sana. Kumaliza wakarudi huko mbele, wakasema wapi wengine, wakapita wakapatrol, sisi tukasikia wakiongea. Sasa hiyo kelele ikakuwa sasa tunasikia
msimamizi mkuu hapa anajiita General Supervisor John Nyamira, ambaye ametueleza tu kwa muhtasari hali ilivyokuwa pukushani usiku wa manane na hali ya Diosho.
I want us to cross over live to Magharini.
The two of them, or you have my...
Tension rose when ODM candidate Harrison Kombe caused disruption, alleging that his agents had been thrown out in an incident that sparked confrontation at the station.
there was just a bit of I don't want to call it a confusion, but jambo ambalo kwamba liliweza kutatuliwa. These people are already inside. And the party people are inside, so it's very, very much okay.
In Kanagoni, DCP candidate Stanley Kenga casted his vote early, but shortly before his arrival, chaos erupted when South Kilifi MP Ken Chonga was chased away by residents. They questioned why he was outside the polling station, insisting that if he was an agent, he should have been inside the polling room and not outside.
And well, that story on MALAVA brings us to our discussion. And with me is an amazing panel. We have...
Because in parts of KASIPUL Kabondo, people masquerading as party officials were in fact goons. I understand some of them even had weapons. So can you imagine if somebody walks into a hall with a weapon? Which is why the report by Ben Kirui is very exciting from MALAVA. That if you're not accredited, if you're a journalist and not accredited by the media, they're not allowing you in. That you only get in when you are accredited. So it therefore means that IBC has got a register of everybody going in. So in the unlikely event that somebody decides to cause violence in that voting hall, then you can actually pick out somebody. In the morning again, we had a very disturbing and disrupting event where the Attorney General, the former Attorney General, who served as a public servant of rank, who has been the chief law enforcement officer, all of a sudden becomes a wrestler. I mean, you may have seen him wrestling a young man. Do you know how dangerous it is for a man, first of all, the reputation of Justin Muturi and his age? If the young man overpowered him and, there's remember WWF, there's a wrestling match and for some reason, a rock lands on Justin Muturi, right now we'd be having serious issues. And then a journalist, I think from this media house, posted a very good question that Mr. Muturi, have you been accredited by IBC to be here? Guess what he said?
The party leader.
I'm the party leader. So does it mean that when you're a party leader who has got a superior understanding of Kenyan law than most Kenyans, actually than most lawyers, then now you've got a blank check to saunter into any place simply because you are a party leader? So if we expect the Moras and Wajiros to keep the law, then there's a valid expectation that the party leaders must do the same. Again, yesterday we had a news conference where a number of politicians said they've got evidence of ballot stuffing, evidence of voter bribery. One again would expect that this information is presented before the law enforcement agencies, because you cannot have public servants or other political parties, their leadership, people are highly regarded in society, making statements without presenting evidence. And that is now why you talk about misinformation and disinformation.
At the pictures that we were looking at just now, they were showing on the screen. Of course, like you've mentioned, Justin Muturi ruffled up someone earlier on, one of the MCAs from Nyamira, I believe. And it begs the question. They are taking matters in their own hands. They've become law enforcement officers, so to speak. So what is the role of police then, if some of those leaders have to take matters in their own hands? What's the role of the IBC in such a scenario where this is happening at one of the polling stations?
Yeah, this is where maybe I depart from Dismas's argument about this situation. An election is an event that is happening as we speak. It's not something that is happening and you have the leisure to report matters later. You also don't have the leisure to do prolonged investigations because you need to establish exactly who is behind which goons. I imagine, I don't know, I'm not a policewoman, so I don't know. I imagine that at the first interaction with, for example, there's 17 people who are arrested in KASIPUL today, the first question the police is asking these people is, who sent you? Who are you linked to? Can you prove to me that this person is the one who sent you? If you know the name of the candidate who's linked to these people, there's no need to keep the identity of this person secret. There is no need to keep the identity of this person secret, and it's not the police's work to report, but they have a responsibility to report back to the IEBC that these individuals apparently have claimed to be associated with whoever. If the candidate there's proof that he has connected, these are matters that can be sped up through the different tribunals and through expedited court processes. I am basically saying that we don't have the luxury of time when it comes to an election, number one. Number two, when you know that you have contenders in an election, you ensure that every contender is protected. When you have individuals from different persuasions in a polling station, immediately the police should use their sensibility, knowing what elections normally look like, to ensure that they're constantly vigilant
So
of that
Nyamira,
kind of environment. By the
Kenya,
time you
UPA,
find
Nyamira, UPA,
a place
Nyansiango,
that has
PDP,
several police officers, we've been seeing
Machakos,
military tankers
Wiper
the whole
Party,
day, and then there's a fracas. And even that one, before it is
Mumbuni
disrupted,
North,
it gets to the point where the situation with
Wiper Party.
the former AG got. For me, it basically means that someone is sleeping on the job. The other thing, and I think your reporter mentioned, that he's in a polling station where the politicians linked to a certain persuasion are in the polling station, and those who are not linked to that persuasion are not in the polling station.
Politicians are there.
The Kenya Kwanza politicians are
waiting
there.
for the results.
For me, the first question I'm asking myself is the IBC has said, and it's been written in news articles the whole day, that they will not allow any politicians to hang around the polling stations. What is the rule of exception that has allowed them to allow those ones to be in the polling station, for example? For me, about an election, it's first of all fairness. If you're going to apply a rule, does it apply to everyone? Number one. Number two, if you're providing protection, provide protection for everybody. Number three, the IG and all his officers know what elections look like in Kenya. They know what causes trouble to erupt. So they know what they need to stop. As a matter of fact, if they know that these two, and they get intelligence, if they know that these two people cannot be in the same space, make sure that even as they operate in that space, you manage how they interact. They are not doing this for their own sake, they're doing this for the sake of the image of that election. And that's why I started by saying the first assignment is to secure the interests of Kenyans in that election, to see that it is free and fair.
Can we trust the IEBC?
The next assignment is to ensure that the interests of those agencies that are working on elections are taken care of, because those are the system that Kenyans are trusting to deliver the results for them. So if you make the IBC look like it is partial, if you make the police agencies look like they're inclining in one direction, if you make it look like you're asserting more your force towards one direction than the other, even if you're doing the right thing, it becomes difficult to convince the viewer that you are actually interested in safeguarding the elections, and you look like you're protecting the interests of certain individuals.
And that brings me to the question, can we trust the IEBC based on the events of today? Of course, the last couple of days we've seen a lot of activities, some bit of hostility, but today's events, can they tell us whether we can trust the IEBC to be able to deliver a credible and peaceful some of those constituencies? That's just perhaps a question I need to pose to both of you. Talking about voter apathy, we saw very low voter turnout in some of the constituencies. Very shocking, because campaigns have been going on for quite some time. Some of those constituencies have
voter apathy. So Wiper Party has won in Mumbuni North, Machakos, Nyamira, Erekenyo, UPA Party, Nyamaiya, UPA, Nyansiongo, PDP, Khisa East, DCP, Kariobangi North, DCP, Narok Town, DCP, KASIPUL, ODM, Magharini, ODM, Kabuchai is Natembea's party, MALAVA, Mbeere North na nini wanapika kura bana. They are not sharing votes as fast. So Machakos, it's Kisoi Wiper. Anyway, it's quite late. It seems we'll have to exit. Then tomorrow is another day to see what will have happened to the votes in MALAVA, Mbeere North and Magharini.